Hey, welcome back. This is probably the best DIY fermenter I've built yet. I've built several, and every time I do a new iteration, I try to make an improvement. This one has a heater, it has a thermostat, it has a digital thermometer, it has a drain with two 6-inch bazooka filters, stainless steel, and it's the best one yet, and it's not hard to make. Let's do it. So the reason I think you're really going to love this is because of how easy this is compared to all the benefits of this type of fermenter. On the grain fermenter, so strain the grains separate from the liquids easily by opening up a valve. It's heated so that in colder climates you can keep your ferment at the right temperature, and it's also going to have a digital thermometer so that we always know what temperature it is without opening it up. So it's pretty cool. And so I'm going to start by telling you all the tools that we're going to need. We're going to need a drill with a 1/2-inch bit and a 1 3/4 bit. Yeah, 1 3/4 bit. A pair of channel locks. And we're going to need some silicone. We're going to need an aquarium heater. This one came from Amazon, and of course I'm going to put links to all this stuff where you can get it. And then the on the grain fermenter parts kit from stillingtheclear.com. Of course, I'll put a link in there for that. And that's it. Some drying time for the silicone. This is only going to take you like 30 minutes. That's how easy it is. Now, I will say also, there's another way to do it that we're not going to do it today, and that's to use what's called an electrical bulkhead. And I got this idea from one of the guys over in the Moonshine for Beginners group, KC guy. He built one with one of these, and it's really great because it seals everything up. But the reason I'm not doing this today is because it does require some electrical soldering. And I thought I wanted to do it in such a way that just anybody can do it without any kind of specialized skill. I mean, you got to be able to run a drill. I think everyone can handle that part. So those are the parts and tools. Now let's get into it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to install this on the grain fermenter parts kit that allows you to drain off your wash separate from your grains. It allows you to ferment on the grain, which is my preference. A lot of people ferment off the grain, but this is how I build my fermenters because I like them. I've now built, 8 of these type fermenters, and they just work so well. I just keep building them, and I keep adding things to them to make them a little better. Okay, so the first thing we have here is an airlock that you can put in. These lids, at least on this barrel, they do seal, so if you want a sealed ferment, you're going to want an airlock. This is what the 1/2-inch drill bit is for this little grommet right here, so that you get an airtight seal on your airlock. We also have the manifold for the bazooka filters that will be on the inside like that. We also have the plumbing bulkhead, which is going to be how we attach this to the inside and this to the outside. So I'm going to drill a hole on the side of the fermenter near the bottom. I used to try and put it as close to the bottom as I could, because the closer to the bottom you can get, the more liquid it will drain out. But I found that I like them up just a little bit off of the bottom. So I'm going to come up about, 2 inches, 2.5 inches off the bottom. And I'm going to make my hole here. I'm going to use the bit to go part way through, and then I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to finish cutting it the rest of the way through. I need to make this cut a little bit more on that side. I don't cut all the way through. I'm going to cut the rest of the way through from the inside. The reason for that is you get a nice clean, you get a cleaner edge with the bit, And when you try and push it all the way through, you kind of get a really rough edge, and it just makes it harder to clean all these little burrs up, which you want the burrs cleaned up really well. All right, I'm going to take my razor knife and I'm just going to clean these burrs up. I don't want them to get in the way of the seal, the rubber gasket, so I get a nice tight seal with that plumbing bulkhead. I'm going to do the same thing on the inside. The next step is going to be installing the bulkhead, and you've got to take this nut off, and the nuts on these bulkheads are reverse threaded, so opposite from righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. This side is going to be on the outside, this side is going to be on the inside. And to make it easier, I put the manifold onto the bulkhead first before it goes in. It makes it easier to tighten it down. You don't have to worry about putting any kind of pipe dope or Teflon tape or anything on this joint right here, because it doesn't even matter if it leaks. If it leaks, it doesn't get out of the barrel from this point. So just tighten that down all the way like that. Keep that, you've got a hard washer and a soft washer. You want to put the soft washer on the inside and the hard washer on the outside. This is the hard washer right there. So that goes there. Get your washer on, put the nut back on, and there we go. And this just has to be really good and snug. It doesn't have to be, super duper tight, because that soft gasket on the inside is a pretty good gasket and seals up pretty good. You do want to make sure that you are lining up the manifold on the bottom so that it's perpendicular, or I guess I should say parallel with the bottom of the barrel. I don't even think I needed those on this one. That tightened up nicely. Didn't even need the channel locks. Okay, so now we want to put the valve on here, and you do want to put Teflon tape here, because if it leaks at this joint, then it's going to drip all over the floor. Just like that. I'm going to go ahead and close that, make sure that valve is closed all the way in case I forget when I start filling it, because that's how I do things. I forget. And then on the inside, your bazooka filters just slip on. And you see those bazooka filters are not sitting on the bottom. They're up off of the bottom about 3.5, 4 inches. I have 2 holes in the lid. One is going to be for this stopper, and then the other is going to be for this grommet. And you can put them in, however you want to place them. I'm going to put the rubber stopper in the center. I'm going to put the grommet off to the side. This is a number 10 grommet with a pre-drilled hole. You can get those on Amazon. I'll try to remember to put a link down in the notes in the description. So first, it takes the same drill bit that we used on the grain fermenter parts kit. So don't even have to change out bits. I'm just going to eyeball the center there. And again, I'm going to go part way through and then finish going the rest of the way through on the other side. And I need to clean up the burrs on this also. So that's ready for that. Now I got to change out the bit. Use the 1/2-inch bit. Squeeze this. You'll see that this grommet has a groove on the inside, and you've got to get that in there around, seated in on the lid itself. And when you get it right, it will just sit in there nicely. Just got to play around with it till you get it in there just right. There we go. So now that will hold our airlock, and it'll have a nice airtight seal. So that's that for the lid. Now, probably the hardest part of this whole job is just getting the heater and the thermometer set in this stopper. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to slice this stopper open because we're going to feed in the electrical cords. And I'm just going to try and use this razor knife. Hopefully it works. Yep, no problem. Be careful with this for sure. You don't want to slip and cut a finger off. Nice little cut in there so that we can feed in this wire. This aquarium heater, like I said, it comes with a digital thermometer. It's got a little probe. That's one of the things we're going to feed through this. And then this is I purchased the 100-watt heater because I think it said it was good for up to 40 gallons. Yeah. So you can see it says 100 watt right here. It's 120 volt, and it has this thermostat, and we'll see how well this works, but it's just got a little dial, and this is in Fahrenheit, I believe. So we'll see how well that works. But what we have to do is feed these through our stopper. Just like this on this one. And then we're going to do the same thing here. Now, so I think I'm going to let leave the entire length of the probe cord down in the barrel, because it's okay if it just floats around in there anywhere. But I want to, the length of this cord, I want to measure so that it's suspended in the water but not touching the bottom. So I'm going to bring the barrel back up. So I want to be able to set the length. So the stopper's going to be about right there, give or take. So I want this to hang down in here about like this. I don't want it going all the way to the bottom, but I want to make sure it's not up here all the way at the top where it's only partially in the liquid. So I'm going to hold my finger on that and mark it. So I've got this Sharpie over here that I'm going to mark it with. Now that's black on black, and you guys probably are not going to be able to see that at all on camera, but I can see it. So we've got that right where we want that to be. And this one is just going to come in here like this. I'm going to probably leave that just like that. Now, what we have to do is seal this hole. And because we didn't use the electrical bulkhead, which is what would have replaced this stopper, this electrical bulkhead that requires all the soldering work. But this, all we've got to do is seal it up with some silicone, just so that no air passes through. I might even put a dab in that cut where I sliced it. And that's going to be it. We let that set and it'll be ready to go. Let me get a little squeeze inside here. That'll squeeze out just like that. Lots of goop. And I'm just going to fill this cavity as best I can with silicone. And I gooped it up real good, probably more than I really needed to, but that's okay. Better to have too much than not enough. And then I'm just going to kind of run my finger around it. What that does is make sure that I've sealed all the way around the edges. Like so. And then this part here, you want to make sure that is all off of there, because when you try and push it down in the hole, if there's a big goop of silicone there, it won't be an airtight fit. So now I've got to let that set for a few hours, let that silicone set up hard, and then I'll be right back. So it's a day later and the silicone is all set up nicely. I say nicely, it's set up hard like it's supposed to, but it's goopy, not nicely part, but doesn't matter. The heater and the probe go through the stopper. It looks like it's going to work great. The thermostat on the heater is down here, will be in the wash. And so we've got to drop this in. Drop in our probe, and we can call this. One great thing about this, and we put that stopper in good, and we've got this digital display of the temperature. We can change that setting from Celsius to Fahrenheit. We've got our airlock with our rubber grommets so that everything seals real good. This should be airtight if I want to ferment on a sealed ferment. And then just got to plug this in, and that's it. If you're interested in these DIY projects, I've got several of them for building your own equipment for home distilling and making moonshine. And I'll put a link to that playlist up here. And over here, if you're interested in learning home distilling and becoming a moonshiner, I've got some great guide sheets that I share for free. Just click on that link and it'll take you to my website where you can sign up and get them. And I'm going to get to using this right away. The next video, well, maybe not the next video, but next week I'm going to be doing a new bourbon mash that I'm going to share with you guys. And I'm going to do it in this container. I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's going to be great. And we'll see you on the next one.